Keep right with Ralph K. Ginorio. Necessary federal limits. Even under a president such as Donald J. Trump, whom I both like and support, there should be limits to the power of the United States federal government. We cannot condone federal overreach just because we happen to approve of the policy or of the man who is trying to implement it. Both within and beyond the United States, large cities have always faced challenges of crime, poverty, squalor, machine politics, and corruption. Hammurabi's code of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth indicated that these difficulties were well known in Babylon even 3,775 years ago. Our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., has long been a proverbial hive of scum and villainy. 20 years ago, the Bethesda video game Fallout 3 was set in a post-apocalyptic capital wasteland. Many who knew the real city well said that the game version, which included both hungry giant scorpions and homicidal super mutants, was more wholesome and safe than the actual current-day city. In big cities, the patronage of politicians on the take locks desperately impoverished individuals into a servile role. To keep their welfare flowing, these dependent adults blindly support their patrons' ambitions and blithely excuse his or her picadillos. Objective judgment, the necessary quality of all free citizens, is impossible when a dependent needs a leader's help to survive. Along with a critical mass of Americans, I enthusiastically support President Trump's surge of troops and resources into this crime-ridden hellscape. Early reports indicate an improvement in the quality of life of residents that is so conspicuous that even a few Democrats couldn't help but acknowledge it. Washington, D.C. is unique among American cities in that it is a federal territory. The President and Congress have the constitutional role of governing it. In the past, they have permitted the development of a mayoral city council system to administer the city, but this pretense of self-government masks the reality that the federal government has the ultimate say in whatever transpires within the District of Columbia. Because of this, the second Trump administration has been able to take the remarkable step of suspending normal city rhythms to restore the rule of law. Residents who have for decades been prey to anarchic savages can now begin to live like civilians within their own neighborhoods. America is back in Washington, D.C. Now, Trump has gambled that he can demonstrate how to restore civil society in a former war zone. If his efforts in Washington, D.C. succeed, a better alternative than that of compromised crime-enabling Democrats will have been revealed to every American. Urban elections might then be won by locals who wish to emulate Trump's approach. This is what our constitutional federal republic requires. Citizen voters who live everywhere outside of the District of Columbia genuinely have self-government. The enfranchised legal residents of cities must bestir themselves and shoulder the burdens of citizenship. Many might vote Republican for the very first time in their lives. However, in his enthusiasm to save American lives and restore peace and prosperity, President Trump has publicly indicated that he will try to impose a Washington, D.C. style solution to failed communities like Chicago and Los Angeles. I appreciate his desire for decisive action. However, it is not the role of the President of the United States to manage law enforcement within our states and cities. In fact, the federal government has a very, very limited role in law enforcement. It is the states, and to a degree the municipalities, who are entrusted with the policing powers of law enforcement. This separation of powers is both right and good for our liberty. It is nothing less than absolutely necessary for our ongoing freedom. Our founding fathers understood well what both the Romans of the Republic and the philosopher Montesquieu knew about government power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, as Shakespeare expressed it. To concentrate authority in a single office or to trust any individual with limitless power is to court dictatorial tyranny. Our American federal republic separates authority between localities, the states, and the federal government, and also between a legislative, House of Representatives and Senate, an executive, governor or president, and a judiciary, state and federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. The inevitable inefficiency in such dispersion of authority was intentional. The founders acknowledged that there were occasions when any government must be effective in order to survive, such as during wartime. However, they concluded that such occasions were the exception and not the norm. Our system intentionally retards swift and decisive change. Usually, any lasting change requires a consistent electoral preference expressed by voters over usually from 6 to 12 years. The Founding Fathers did not want a system where, in a single election, a panicked electorate could stampede and replace our republic with the rule of one man, one party, and one political philosophy. I am nothing less than grateful for the restoration of America that President Trump is leading. He is saving our country, in my judgment. But even in the face of disaster zones like our big cities, no U.S. president should be permitted to federalize law enforcement. After all, Trump will not always be in office. Someday, a progressive liberal Democrat might be in office. And what they would do with the federal policing powers, I don't even want to speculate. Problems inherent to such a centralization of power has been recently illustrated by the disgraceful politicization of Obama and Biden's Federal Bureau of Investigation. Robert Mueller, James Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. These are only a few of the more famous federal agents who betrayed their trust and oath in order to favor Democrats over Republicans. Trump's National Guard surge in D.C. is an example of what could be done to save our cities. It cannot, however, be a first step in a program to federalize law enforcement. Politicians should not have access to so potent a tool of oppression as a United States police force might be. If our cities are to be saved, it cannot be done by Donald Trump. The citizens of those cities themselves must vote to save themselves. Take care.